There we go. It was some dense thing in the way.
Yeah. It'll be the first time.
Okay.
What time is it?
Be it 5:04, I'm calling the Capital Committee meeting together. We are going to start reviewing the request for fundings. First thing we need to review is our minutes. Pretty simple. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
Take a motion to accept the minutes
I'll second
of January 9th.
Do I
that. I'll
second?
second that.
So just make sure you're capturing who made the motion and who seconded it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Question, who's going to submit the minutes to the town clerk?
I will. Yeah, I have the file, so
That's fine,
easy
just
enough. We'll
making
do
sure,
it.
that's all.
Yep.
Okay, first thing on our agenda is going to be the review of the fire department's request for a
Thermal imaging cameras.
thermal imaging cameras.
That took time.
Just for the record, I am abstaining
From a vote,
from reviewing.
reviewing,
You can discuss,
fire-
you just
well, I
can't vote, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
if you have questions.
And I wasn't prepared that we were going to actually vote on anything tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we were just going to gather information and get an understanding of what was going on.
I would say that's probably about right. We have to balance the requests against each other as well.
Yeah. So, first is thermal imaging cameras.
Where is that?
Chief, would you mind explaining to us exactly what this is?
Yeah. Thermal imaging cameras are basically a tool that we use that basically reads heat signatures and allows a firefighter to go into the fire and see in the dark, or see through the smoke, because it reads heat signatures and doesn't rely on visual sight. The ones that we have are 20-plus years old. Our backup is now dead. Technology has significantly changed, which is a good thing, in that the cost of them is now quite a lot less than it used to be. Original ones that we bought were probably in the $25,000 range each. I'm looking at now replacing the two older ones. One is dysfunctional, the other is on its last leg, with three for a total cost of approximately $8,000. They're about $3,000 each. I did make a decided choice to not go with they have some models that are about $10,000 per unit. The extra benefit that you get from the additional monies is limited to, it tells you exact temperatures on them and some of those things that I think it's more critical to have a third one so that when you roll into a scene, you can use it exterior and get a sense of where that fire is, even through the side of a building. And so I went with the less expensive models, but going with three of them to replace what is now.
Why three?
One for each engine, of which we originally had two at $50,000. One of those is defunct. The other one is starting to be intermittent. Three is so that I can put one back on each engine, and then as I can roll in with a command vehicle, I can go in, because you do size up when you originally get to the house. And for the last house fire that we had, it was probably 4 minutes before the engine arrived on scene, and I have to make a decision in that time where I'm going to send personnel to fight the fire. And it's a tool to show me where that fire is from the outside perimeter walk. So with the drop in cost of technology, the fact that I'm going with the basic models and not the fancy models, I'm trying to extend the usage of them from not just the interior team, but so we can have a better direction of where to send folks to fight fire and make attack.
Now, are these something that's going you yourself and anyone else that's going to need to use them, going to have any specific training or anything to use them?
We currently have training for thermal imaging use.
Okay. And now, not to judge you or
No,
your ability,
ask questions.
have you looked into other towns to find out what is a better unit, if they work, if they're good or anything?
So Easthampton, this is a similar unit to what Easthampton has. Easthampton has one of the $10,000, and then they have two of the others.
Okay.
They use them in the same way that we use them, but rather than getting a $10,000 model, I was choosing to get 3 of the $3,000 models just
Okay.
to save us.
And they're
some
still a
money.
good unit?
It's still a good unit. One,
Okay.
the $10,000 model, it has video recording, which you can do, which I don't plan to video record. It's got some different the temperature range is a little bit greater. But when you start, in my opinion, when you start to make distinctions between 1,200 degrees and 1,800 degrees, it's really pretty relative. It's
Yeah.
either hot, it's not hot. You're looking for either something that is hot, or when body recovery, you're actually looking for a colder than the hot
Yeah.
environment.
Okay.
So the distinction, I don't believe, is worth the extra, $6,000 that you're paying for it. And like I say, I am setting it up to industry standard, which is really to have one that as you roll in for initial assessment, and then one on each engine. So if you send a crew in that has a camera, because they can go in deeper.
And they're handheld?
They're handheld.
Okay.
Because you can go in deeper with one of these units, you do need a backup unit in case the first crew has a problem. You need to have a way to go in to get them.
Okay.
Because if it's a smoky environment, you cannot see unless you have a camera.
Okay.
So that's the reasoning behind my decision making.
Chief, I'm looking at the fact that you marked this to be equipment that'll last 10-plus years.
Yep.
How old were the other ones?
They were 20 years old. I mean, granted, they were $25,000 each at the time. Their technology has changed a lot. When they make technology less expensive, the units are smaller. The original ones were, big and beefy, and they probably lasted longer than most people have kept them in service for here in Southampton. So that 10 years is a projection. It's
Oh, I know that.
it's a projection on
Yeah.
an average lifespan. that
Are they
people are-
rechargeable? Do they go in
Yes.
a box? Are they
They're
protected?
rechargeable. There's actually a cradle that they go into in the vehicles.
Okay.
Do they need any kind of calibration, any kind of
Not unless there's a problem with them.
maintenance?
Not unless there's a problem. So generally, they're
Any-
pretty self-sufficient unless they have a problem. So it either works or it's broken.
So
And is
does-
there a substantial warranty with them?
Yes,
or-
with maintenance agreement.
Honestly, I don't know what the warranty is. I mean, it's, probably typical in the industry, whatever it is. Like I say, it's the same units as many other departments are using.
Yeah, is another thing that we could probably look into is possibly like a maintenance agreement, if they monitor them for a certain
Yeah,
amount
for
of
a
time.
$3,000 unit, sometimes you pay more for a maintenance agreement than you would just for a replacement.
Yeah.
So if it was the original ones, which we
Yeah.
bought at $25,000 per unit,
Yeah.
there were no maintenance agreements, that just
Okay.
because there's not much you can do.
Right, well, there's a 3-year warranty on it.
Okay, I mean, I'm
According to
sorry, I
this
just didn't
quote.
have that information.
Yeah,
off the top of my
according to
head.
this
So,
quote,
yeah.
3-year warranty on the camera and the batteries.
Okay,
Okay.
great, which is actually good because batteries
Yeah.
can tend to go away and you have to
Yeah,
replace. I
and
have
and
replaced-
each one comes with 2 batteries, which is nice.
Yep.
And a lanyard.
Yep.
And a desktop
And the
charger.
lanyard is actually, I mean, it sounds like not a lot, but it's actually got a clip-on device, so if you let go of the unit, it doesn't just fall to the ground.
So you're getting a lot more. You're getting a lot more for what you think for.
A
So
lot
that's
more.
perfect.
Technology's really
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's good.
I think so.
Good shopping.
Yeah.
I know some people get it bothered when people ask them certain things. That's why I said that. I didn't-
Yeah, and a lot of our guys, work both Easthampton and for Southampton, and so, they're used to these same units,
Okay.
which is
Oh,
nice,
this is,
and they like them. So I tell you, when they like a tool, they use it, and they are trained in both departments.
What's going to happen to the old cameras?
Like I said, one's dead, yeah, the other ones, I mean, Yeah, it's non-dependable at this point. If we actually, I don't know if we'd find another use for it or not. There's a potential that I may, so I don't want to commit to say that I'm going to get rid of it, and just, if I dispose of it, it'll be disposed back to town.
Great. I think that's it we have for you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll
Yep.
take it under advisement and go from there.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thanks.
An extra copy. I was at home and I had to not go home for this.
That's the middle one. I did the same thing, and I
She took my spare.
his spare.
I'll read on with,
Yeah, that's fine.
Share with Roger.
yes, Roger.
I've
Art-
got them loose in the folder if you want.
Yeah.
That way.
Why? There's no one else here.
This is easier than having to look through, shuffle through the paper.
We have your stuff.
Oh yeah, that's actually pretty good. 2 batteries, can't,
Yeah,
the
it's great.
camera, that is a good deal.
You want to do him?
I don't mind it. I mean, she's scheduled for next week, but there's nobody here, so why, you know.
Unless he was here for
Well,
open time for the
The
public.
agenda said 5:30.
Were you here for
was
open
when it
time
was
for the
supposed
public?
to start. The agenda said
We would
meeting
be
at
here
5
at
and
5,
5:30 for
and then
everyone
our-
else.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably why people aren't here, but
No.
we have you.
We have you. Boy, are you lucky.
All right, so this is town hall.
You doing
This
town
is-
hall or you doing building department?
Building,
Building, we're talking
Sorry.
building. Yeah.
wide format
One's
scanner.
30th, okay.
The building department is looking for a desktop PC
Art Moore.
with a large format scanner, including a stand.
Big book?
Yes, big book.
Big book.
He's in the big book. Actually, I have a spare big book.
Oh, there you go. And we're in the town hall.
So that's really
No,
what
we're
it
in
is.
building department. Building department.
I gave back the other spare. I only have one set of
Yeah,
spares.
you can.
No, I'm good. I
She's
can go
got it.
off.
You
It's
can
wide
do-
format scanner.
Yeah, I mean, it's right here. I mean, you know, basically,
How much was it?
it's $7,000. And
You found it,
Yeah,
Travis?
kind of like, you know.
as I understood this, what they want to do is to be able to eliminate the
All
amount
that
of files
filing.
that they have and consolidate everything electronically. Which opens the question of what are you going to do with all that paper? But anyways, yeah, that's what I thought. Good thing the fire chief left.
I was just gonna say.
My father was a fireman, so
It's okay, right?
So who would be doing all this scanning? Is that,
it probably would be me for some of it. It's not just the building department, I think that's important to know.
Misnomer,
Yeah, I
okay.
think it was added in with all the
Didn't
older
you have
documents and the ones that the
Yeah.
highway has as well.
DPW?
Yeah, the highway was probably, I thought was the most critical because, you know, the stuff down there, the prints down there.
Yeah, there's a lot of
on
old-
vellum, and, you know, vellum's pretty cool stuff, but you worry if anything ever happens there, water damage, anything like that, and there goes all, you'd have to resurvey all the various streets and highways and so on. So, septic is another area that needs to be copied in, and so we've got a lot of files in that department. And I would say any maps, any historical type stuff could also be used. These are, I believe, if I remember right, I don't have my notes with me, but it's a 42-inch, it can handle C, D, E size prints, and that's just about all of it, you know, just about everything that's out there. So that's basically it. It's multiple departments, not just building.
Where would this be housed?
Well, I was thinking something like the studio downstairs in the malls of this building. Could be anywhere. It's sort of semi-portable, but I thought that would be probably a good location because a lot of stuff is in the vault. As you saw the pictures where I banged my head not too long
Yes.
ago.
So,
So is this just a scanner or a scanner printer?
You know, it's just a
Scanner, printer,
scanner.
computer, cool,
It's not a
computer.
printer.
Okay.
Just a scanner, because we want to get them up into the cloud at some point. We do have a grant and to utilize Northampton You can push it over, all the files over there, and they would, I've scanned a lot of the old building permits are over there now, so this could also be incorporated in that particular area.
Because it's going to be downstairs in the studio,
Well, it doesn't have to be, Charlie.
I'm
I
just,
was thinking of a space.
okay. I'm thinking about access. You want access to be limited on this because you don't want people
Just going in.
going in and,
Correct.
because when I used to work for the Commonwealth, the biggest issue we had were people putting their fingers into the equipment, and then the equipment was broken, and then they walked away and never even bothered to tell anybody. So that would be a concern. I understand the need. You know,
And I think they brought it to us
They
last
did,
year,
and that
wasn't it?
was something that I wanted to just ask, because I remember
Yeah.
it being at a significantly less, like lower cost
No, it was the
last
same.
year.
No, I
Same
don't
cost. Yeah.
Was it?
Yep.
I thought I remember it
I
being
think it
like
was-
$3,000 or something.
No, it was right, the 3,000 was the potential.
Ed, you can come up to the table here. I mean, we're not a very formal group.
It's okay,
It's about
I'm back
these.
here.
Oh, that's what it was.
That was the
Fire
alternate.
access to the door.
That was the alternate. Okay, then that's what I was thinking.
Sorry, that was the alternate. The
Intimidating.
3,000 was to buy the,
The drawer.
Oh, the
Yeah,
drawer.
yeah.
yeah,
And
which I
Yeah.
think is a good solution.
And I know it's portable, but I would prefer that it not be portable,
Right.
because I think that's
No,
how
you're right.
damage
Yeah.
occurs.
yeah, that's about
Now,
it.
now, this is touch software. Is that something that has to be updated, monitored, and stuff like that? or
Yeah,
is it-
and in most of these situations, you know, you get X number of time, generally a year, free updates, and then there'd probably be a cost after that.
Is that something
Do
that
we
would
know
be
what
put in
the-
a budget, or?
Yeah, that's generally a minimal, you know,
Okay.
cost. And you don't have to upgrade, a lot of it you probably don't even need. But you're right, Roger, it would require some updates.
Ed?
Oh, just to say that if it did end up in the studio and access was a concern, probably for short money, like $150, we could get that rekeyed so that to
It was
have
limited.
limited access.
Yeah.
Again, you know, and much like I think, well, there's only 3 people in the building that have a key to the server room now. Art, myself, and I think the treasurer's office has it. And the treasurer's office knows that actually, unless Art and I are here, they're not supposed to let anybody in there. So we could, you know, if that did happen, if that was the room or any other room was chosen, we can do something like that for not a lot of expense.
And I throw that out as an example, it doesn't have to be there.
No, I think it's a good example.
It just seems like it'd be a good place for it.
Yeah.
I think if it's for something designated in versus somebody that just wants 100 copies of something,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be allowed, but if it's something significant that has to get done, that should be worked into it.
That's why I asked if it was a scanner or printer. You know, if you're talking printer, you're talking ink and everything else. But if it's just
And
scanner,
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It would be in this case.
Yeah.
The only ones that have anything like that around here would be like Heritage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see us buying a plotter.
yeah.
And trying to get a freebie out of them. Geez.
Any other questions?
No,
Yeah.
Thank you, Art.
thank you.
Rolling on through.
Mr. Gibson, you're up at bat.
So these are all out of order. I put everybody in order. This is going to happen like this, so here it is.
Well, you
And
could-
it didn't, so I'm numbering
And
these.
before I forget,
That
I
can
would
make
like
sense.
to
That might
let you
make
know,
sense.
since this committee had a big part of it, as of about an hour and a half ago, the new radio console was completed installation over at the police department. So it's up and running. There's a few little things that they will tweak out on it, but everyone, especially police, fire, and highway, are very happy late this afternoon because no one really knew how long the old one was going to hang in there.
I thought they just revamped the one at the highway, not long ago.
It's in the little one.
Or is that?
No, this is the dispatch console.
Okay,
Yeah.
the big, okay.
The big one.
Oh, all right, never
The
mind.
big
All
one.
right.
Scanning this one, so I know where the stuff is in the future.
So,
Roger,
thank
it's
you
the
for your
little one
support
towards
on
the
that
back.
one. That's one more
project that was a capital one that is done and completed.
Nice.
I got a text from the police chief,
I was gonna say, is he supposed to be here?
no, telling me that the thing
5:30.
was up and running, and thank you.
Oh, okay.
So, he appreciated that the capital committee moved that.
To walk, take a walk over after.
I was just going to say, it'd be nice to go over and look at it
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
At 5:30.
at 5:30 though.
Yeah.
And frankly,
Yeah, but-
I'd rather hit the small accounts right now, get them out of the way, and just,
Yeah, but please, feel free to stop in there, tell, if the dispatcher doesn't know you, tell them who you are, and that, the chief let you know that it was completed today and like to see it.
okay. I think I'll take a walk over there after the meeting, introduce
I'll go
myself.
with you. I got nothing to do.
You got nothing to do?
They don't know who you are, right?
They'll learn.
I'll tell them, first thing you take a picture of this guy, second thing you put it on a wall.
Third thing, put a number on it.
It's not a problem.
Probably shouldn't let him out of
And if
here.
you want to get case history, just give me a call.
Don't
I'll
put
send-
Commonwealth there, that's all I ask.
So you're after
What do you wanna talk
the,
about first?
well, town hall, telephone system?
Well,
And the
Town hall / IT, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm looking at telephone system of $10,898.
Yeah, they implement a voice over IP system, and Charlie, I know, and probably the rest of you are familiar with the fact that we really don't have a phone system, number one, here,
Yeah.
so it's all individual telephone numbers, so, if somebody calls my office and wants to get to the clerk or whatever, you can't transfer them around.
Yeah. I know,
just-
it's cumbersome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, from a professional business approach, it would be much easier to have a professional phone system here that could do voicemails and stuff like that. We're getting to the point we're close to being able to actually implement the voice over IP system rather than the traditional copper Verizon lines, and you still want some copper Verizon lines for redundancy. We just replaced one of the requirements for a voice over IP is the switch that you have that goes along with your server and your network has to be a switch that will accept voice over IP. We just replaced the switch, I don't know, 3-4 months ago. We put in one that will accommodate the voice over IP system. I tried last year to get some extra money in our budget, our operating budget, because another piece of the puzzle, that if we do go voice over IP over traditional phone system, you need a certain bandwidth to accommodate that. We would have to double our bandwidth to be able to actually accommodate a voice over IP, so that's like another $1,500 would have to be added to the operating budget. Last year I couldn't get that, and I'm going to ask for it again this year. So there are some pieces that go along with this, but Art's a staunch supporter. Everybody keeps beating me up on it, and rightfully so, but yeah, it's time to actually step up, make us a little more efficient, professional, and give us the ability to, transfer phone calls and
Yeah.
whatever. And you can take this, and it doesn't have to be just for this building. We could accommodate. You've got the system. You just have to pay the price for additional phones. Could accommodate the highway department, which I was planning to do. Could accommodate the water department if we wanted to, along with it.
This system already accommodates the fire station?
No. We could. I'm a little, and like I say, you can
Hesitant
take
to
this
take it
and
up.
expand it forever. It would just be the cost of extra phones. And I already said, get everybody into it. And the library, I understand. I'm a little hesitant on police and fire because I don't know how they
would be about not having their own system, and I'm a little hesitant about it only because of
If you have
the
building
future, if they
complex.
get into one building, if it makes sense or not. But we could expand it into those things. And I know actually the police chief, I believe, as one of his requests, has got a similar system in for the building over there. So,
He had asked that, but
Yeah.
if memory serves, the wiring for the fire station's phone system comes out of this switching system.
does it? Okay, then we could. Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah, it's
saying.
about $200 to $250 for phones. So, if the chief wanted to do that and the wiring basically comes out of here, it's got to be a little bit of different type of wiring, and if we could get it over there, we could do that.
So I have a question. Does that, now that you're not having individual numbers, is that going to cut down on the cost, the monthly cost of your phone system?
We'd have to do a total analysis on our phone bills to what the monthly cost of doing this would be.
Versus,
In some other places that I've done the analysis, it's at least come out pretty
A wash.
comparable to the as a wash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, on this, would you have like a PA system? So does it come with, so I know some of them, you can, dial in and do kind of a PA.
I wouldn't call it a PA, but most of the phones that you get with them now have the ability, rather than just pulling up here, to put it on speaker.
For all departments.
For like a conference call.
So,
Like a conference
oh, no,
call.
I'm talking like, we have a system where you can put in a number, say 77, and the speaker part of everybody's phone
Becomes an intercom.
becomes an intercom, because if you have, say, an active shooter in your building, if somebody's down in treasurer's office or in accounting and you need help, it's a good tool to have.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're looking,
And most
if
of them
that's
are all
part of it.
programmable nowadays, so I'm sure it could be programmed into it, and if not, we could look at a little different model.
So,
But
yeah.
they're pretty universal.
Yeah.
So the other request is tabletop computers.
Yes.
I know that we allocated funding last year for upgrades.
That started the upgrade, which will come. Server should be here this month, and as soon as that's installed, the computers will start coming out. And the ones from last year were intended to replace the one in what I call the finance department computers, the accountant, the collector treasurer, and the assessor's office. And then this year, my thought process was some of the other offices, my office, probably highway. One of the things that when the new server is installed, I'd be very happy to look forward to is like remote locations like highway we should be able to set it up to VPN into our server. So rather than having all the data on those computers in the highway department and a backup drive, we can put that on the server. But this is the second phase for this office, and actually they've come down a little bit in cost, because actually Ian has started implementing the small format PCs, which are about yay big, over at the, and they just go right on the back of the monitor, solid state drives. But he started using them over there from a vendor I had used up in Beckett when I was there. Very happy with them, and their cost with the monitors are about somewhere around $850, $875 a pop. And that comes with the Office software and the new Windows 10 on it.
So we're talking 8 desktops.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're looking at,
And then I hesitate, I call them PCs now, because I hesitate to call a little box about yay big a desktop. Because it's not sitting on a desktop, it's not sitting underneath it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the upgrade cost is included in that as well. So you said. upgrade to Windows 10 and...
Yes,
That's
it would all
all.
come with totally new
It's
software, the
all- it's
Windows
all-
10, the Office, home
So
and
the other ones
home and
are, the
business.
other ones are already upgraded, is what you said, right?
They will be as soon as the servers. in,
Okay,
because
got it.
the
So that
process is
everyone
put
will
the
be
server-
running Windows 10 and,
Yes.
yes, so
Yeah.
everything's compatible. Got
Right.
it.
All right,
Question?
good.
And then just to let you know, the server, which was a separate article, is due to be installed end of this month, beginning of next month. Art helped me put in for an IT grant from the state, and although we put in for one that was $46,000 and covered an awful lot of things, and I kind of anticipated the way that the grant application was worded, that they would kick it back because they kept pointing it being basically one piece of a project rather than a whole project. Of course, I still get a kick out of the fact that they claim they'll give up to $250,000, and I can't understand how one piece of a project would be $250,000. But we put in for the $46,000. The state said, okay, we won't give you all that because it's different pockets and different pieces. What would be your number one request? And the number one request, I went and talked to Art about it, would be a new backup system for the new server. And they said yes to that. They said, yes, we'll also give you a new UPS to go with it to protect the new equipment. And I do know a few people still down there, and they actually came back and they felt so bad about actually taking our $46,000 request and cutting it down to, I think at the time it was like a $2,500 or $2,700, and they came back and said, we'll also do your new Sonic Wall, which is the Wi-Fi system in the building, which the one we have in here was donated by Art. It's really a residential one. We really need to beef up our security, so they included that in the IT grant. And then they turned around, and I had originally asked in the first one if they would do a website design and update for us. And that wasn't part of it, but they actually reached out to me and said, but you can't put in for that on this other grant, which we will do, and I don't know on that. But we've got some pieces coming in to, you know, protect us from today's cybersecurity,
hacking,
the ransomware, and everything else. It just keeps getting worse and worse. Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
You gonna stay here for a while?
I can, yes, absolutely. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we've taken care of fire.
We're ready for you.
Fire.
Last but not least.
Town hall.
Good. Zip through all the other ones.
All right.
And
We got police department and we got the library.
Oh, I forgot about library.
Well, forget
You never
about
mind, you're
the
not last.
library.
No.
Art, can you make a call to the library, please? So what do you want?
Is that I wanted to just say thank you for your support in the radio consoles.
we just
They were installed, their finished installation was today, and it's, they look good, and it's definitely,
How long did it take? Was it?
it was a 2-day installation.
Nice.
And that probably should have been done a while ago, so we were really, it was a touch and go.
Good.
So it's done. There's a, you know, I can breathe now whenever there's a storm or any other thing that could.
Does that
cause
eliminate the issue that's on top of Mount Tom? or
No,
not really?
no,
it's
not
still,
at
still
all.
have the
Yeah.
the
That's
generation issue.
That's not,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're in the little
I
one?
think what
It's-
we should
that's
try to
what
do.
Tom's
It's all little ones.
Yes, I think what we should try to do is, you know,
Like 3 pages
I'll talk to Ed
Oh,
more
okay.
about that, is
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Okay.
get an
Back too
MOU
far.
with
Got it.
PVTA.
Thank you.
So we can just tap right into their general.
Yep.
You want to start with the tasers?
Sure. Would you like the explanation as to why I'm requesting it, or?
Yes,
is that-
please.
okay.
Yeah.
So, if you look around any local police departments, you'll see tasers on them. I have a goal to obviously protect the public as well as the officers, and these are just another instrument that is used to protect both. Just recently, we transitioned to our shotguns that were in our cruisers. We transitioned them into beanbags, so it's another less than lethal option. So that's more of a distance situation where, so say somebody would have a knife and they were, 30 feet from us, instead of us, having to use a firearm, we have those down in our cruisers. We can actually use those as an option to not have to use lethal force. That's obviously our goal, is to, regardless of who it is, a lot of, especially with mental health disorders and the increase of mental health disorders, we're seeing an increase of this, and the last thing anybody wants to do is have to use lethal force when they had or could have had an
Another
option
option.
to have a taser.
Yep.
So I want to get up to date in that, and I want to just make that a tool for the police department. So I reached out to this company here, and this is the quote that they gave us and they suggest you have 3 tasers. It would be 2 officers. They wouldn't get assigned a taser. There'd be 3 tasers, and essentially you'd have 2 tasers that would be in use, because we run 2 officers a shift, and 1 would be that spare should one come out of service if it was used.
Does
So we
it
a
have to be
spare.
charged? How does
They
that
do.
work?
They do. They're
Okay.
charged. Yes. And so this comes with a package to include the cartridges, and this is what they suggested about this particular one is living in the East with people wearing outer clothing, a lot more heavier outer clothing.
How do you get through
These
it?
are designed to have a little bit more ability to penetrate
Is it a
a
probe?
jacket. What's that?
They're probes?
It's a probe and a stun, too. You can do both. Yes.
Can I ask about training?
Sure.
Please?
Yes. It's called riding the lightning.
Sounds like a electric chair.
I'm gonna write that down, Ian.
I'm making light of it, but yes. In fact, we have a policy already in place that is approved by the state, should we get approved. The
Yeah.
policy's already in place, and training is an absolute requirement by the state.
And who pays for said training?
The
That
town
comes
will-
out of your
yes,
budget?
it'll come out of my budget.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Now, these you say they're going to be, are they going to be in the office and the officer picks them up on
Yes.
a shift?
On shift, yes.
Nobody's going to be able to have them?
Nobody takes home.
Okay.
No take-homes, no. And when I made light of riding the lightning, part of the training is
You get it?
You get it.
Yes.
Yes, I heard that.
No, thank you.
That's unbelievable.
Now, are the officers been tased yet, or are they?
The only one was back when Dave Silverdale was feeling it out, he sent Mark Grover to the training, and Mark unfortunately rode the lightning.
I watched my buddy Dan take one. He's a police
Yeah.
officer in Asheville.
Yeah.
Listened to him after he got it.
Yeah.
He says, I would never want to do it again.
Yeah, the training is, it actually has become optional as far as getting tased.
Yeah.
But
Because it can kill you, can't it?
I think there's conditions, people may have health conditions where it could,
Yeah.
but it's rare.
Okay.
And it's been tested. One of the things that, in particular, Dave Silverman, our former chief, did, he always was under the impression, or under the mindset, let the kinks work themselves out. So he never would buy, engage in a new protocol or a new product until it worked itself out. Well, it's now worked itself out. This has been, tasers,
They all have them now.
They all have them, and I want to get on board.
So now I have a question. I watch a lot of cops, some movies, but, so you have the probe. Do you have to purchase new probes?
There-
Sometimes they get stuck in?
Yes,
or-
whenever,
right.
yes. You don't put them back. There's
Right.
there's cartridges that you have to purchase new cartridges, yes.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
they penetrate a little.
They will, and it's the cartridge is spent at that point.
Yeah.
And
So
Like what,
so,
you'd have, every time you use it, you'd have to purchase a new probe. Or
okay,
a
is
cartridge
that,
with it.
cartridge, is
That would
that
come-
something?
That would be that would come out of the budget. And the use, I can't imagine the use of
That
tasers
much
would be
use, yeah.
that much
Yeah.
where we'd have to worry about it.
You've had experiences where a taser would have been
Absolutely.
a
Absolutely.
good option.
Any
better
hands-on
option,
situation where we've had to actually wrestle with people. And
Okay.
that's why I say it helps the officers as well. When you get into a tussle, you know, you're likely to get hurt. You know,
Right.
whether it's a sprain, whether, you know, you fall and
You don't know what
concussed,
the- you don't know what the
you
person's on.
You don't.
Yeah, yeah.
So it
But if
is,
your only option is a weapon as opposed to,
right, in a tussle, you
You
wouldn't be
don't
able to
wanna-
use lethal force,
Right.
but in these situations, you know, there's certain circumstances that exist where
Where you could
allows
use
you
it.
to
Yeah.
use the taser. That's part of the training.
Is it expected that if, you know, in order to ward off the tussle, if someone sees a taser,
Absolutely.
they'd be less likely to engage because
Sure.
they're afraid of it?
Right.
but you'd also verbally.
I mean, I know there are people who are like, I don't
Let them
care, I'm
know.
going in,
No,
but
I
have a
but
question.
it could be
No,
a
it's-
deterrent.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
If you're in a, say somebody gave you a hard time and you were in a tussle with somebody and you had all the options to get your taser out and you tased them, would you get zapped as well holding them?
No.
Why
no.
wouldn't you? If it was
Because you can, yeah, it's between, exactly. It's the probes are the two contacts.
Oh, but you said it would do both.
No, that's the shock. That's
Okay.
where if like you were to, like a taser that you could, that people could buy.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
in this- You also have, these have that option where it's a stun. It's called a stun.
Okay.
And if it's where you're in a hand-to-hand combat with somebody, you can tase them by just
Okay.
pulling it and actually stunning them with it.
Oh, okay.
Not shoot him.
Not shoot them with the probes.
Okay.
Probes are for distance.
Okay.
How far do they go?
I was just going to ask that.
You know, I don't know specifically, but I think anywhere, I think it's, I want to say about 10 feet
Yeah, I
or
was
so.
just gonna say,
Yeah.
it's-
Enough where you have enough room to draw the taser and effectively use it.
Yeah.
But, you know, provided that the situation allows you to use it.
Sure.
You know.
Ed, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I'm a very strong proponent of the use and implementation of tasers. While I was involved in West Springfield, we had a infamous bar on Riverdale Road that would get out at 2 o'clock in the morning, was famous for trouble. One early morning when they were letting out, 6 units had to respond to what I'll call a brawl. 3 officers went on 111F that one night from being involved in the brawl. And that's where the next day I went down to the chief and said, you know, this could have been prevented if we had something other than just fists and wrestling or lethal
Or
weapon
a lethal
options.
weapon.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's better than shooting someone if it'll work. It also protects our
Yeah.
officers
Yeah.
from getting hurt and actually, you know, losing them or having them hurt and not being able to work again or not being able to work for a period of time, so.
A police issue taser can shoot up to 35 feet.
35, I didn't realize it was that way. I've never seen it 35 feet.
I must be candid, I always thought you guys had one.
No.
I did,
I mean,
No.
I really
Yeah,
just assumed that.
yeah.
What series are they?
This is going to, these would be the Taser 7.
Okay, 'cause they got, just to use it, they got an X26 police issue, it's 21 feet. Optional distance for around 14 as well. So it's got a substantial distance.
Sure.
that you can shoot them.
What do you want?
So,
And the reason probably for the 21-foot mark was it's no longer in existence, but the FBI did a study, and then anybody that had a knife drawn, you could use, it would be acceptable to use lethal force, because 21 feet, it would take that much time for you to draw your weapon
Yeah.
and shoot them. Someone could already
Be on top of you.
take over the 21 feet by the time you draw your weapon. So that's probably where the 21-foot came from.
So you get this 36.
But no longer is that even a standard that they use.
yeah, I don't see a problem with these.
I don't need.
Like I said, it's the intent here is to protect the safety of the public and police officers. I don't want the officers hurt, and I don't, if we can prevent somebody from seriously getting hurt by the use of a firearm or even a baton.
Yeah.
A taser, you get shot and you're done after about 5 seconds. You feel good. You're okay. You get hit by a baton, you could have a broken wrist.
Broken bones, yeah.
You can do it, you can use it multiple times before you take it out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Next.
Portable radios?
Portable radios, are these digital?
These, well, yes, these would be P25 compliant, which is essentially, I shouldn't say digital. They're acceptable, they can accept UHF, VHF frequencies as well as 800 frequencies. So it makes it, interoperability with other departments.
So does there have to be any change to the repeater?
No, because our radios are, I believe ours are UHF. Our radios are UHF.
The new radios will pick up both frequencies.
They'll be able, so,
Okay.
at one point, what we could do is we can actually program our radios to have the fire department on our portable radios.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
actually have direct interoperability
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
Because right now you don't.
We don't, no, we can't.
crazy.
Not through
Yeah,
our
that is.
portable
Yeah.
radios, we can't.
So how do you communicate now?
Through dispatch, we have to ask the dispatch to relate to them. Our cars have separate radios in them, our cruisers do,
That-
where we can actual separate radio consoles, we can do that. They have I think fire department's VHF, we're UHF, or vice versa. I'm
So
not
the
quite
cars
sure.
communicate,
The cars
but not-
communicate, but portable radio, so if we're at a fire scene or an emergency scene on our portable, and we're outside the car,
Yeah.
we can't communicate with the fire department.
Back in the dark ages, when I worked in Easthampton, I carried a police, fire, highway radio. The highway frequency was the mutual band when something was going on, so all the departments monitored that to talk back and forth. Because it was the least cluttered
Right.
frequency. Then I'm, again, sitting back saying, you guys gotta start connecting to this. So
And, one of the things too, I thought about this afterwards, when we had that storm and our repeater went down,
Yeah.
we could change over to the fire department frequency, provided that we get the permission
There
from the
you
fire
get
department
permission,
and
right?
use their
Yeah.
radios as our auxiliary radio if we need it. Same with them, with us. So, and also, it's an upgrade, but more importantly, our radios are old. We have currently, this would be the series radio right here.
That you have right now?
No,
or that you want?
that's the one that I'm asking for. So currently, we have 17 portable radios. 12 of them are these ones that I have on now. And you can imagine that these go through some significant beatings. They get dropped. They no longer produce these radios. They canceled production of these radios in 2015. We bought these radios in 2013, and the 5 other radios that we have to make up our 17 are over 20 years old. So that's just an idea of how antiquated some of our equipment is, and I just want to get it
it's
antiquated.
due.
And 20, the reason I'm asking for 20 is because when we have a full roster of 10 full-time officers and 10 part-time officers, it would allow them, any officer that comes on duty to have a radio in the event of an
Oh,
emergency.
so you can actually use these
and
as a
grab
phone
them.
as well.
I'm sorry?
So do you take them home?
Use it as a phone.
Full-time officers are issued them, and
Yeah.
certain part-time officers that are living in town that can respond from their home.
But otherwise, you may have a
otherwise,
cache where you come in and
that's
take
what
one
we
and
have,
go.
exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
It almost seems like this stuff would last longer if they had to come back and get it, if it stayed at a designated area.
Well, yes and no, but if they're on...
No,
if they're-
I mean, if they're on call or something, one thing, but I mean, if they're starting a shift and stuff, instead of taking one of the radios home and getting it beat up at home,
It doesn't get...
It doesn't,
It's
yeah,
stuck
no.
on a shelf in a truck.
Yeah.
I carried a radio for police and fire for years,
Yeah,
and I took it home
Yeah.
all the time, and it wasn't for Southampton.
yeah.
The beating was out on the job.
yeah.
Not at home.
Right.
At home, you stuck it in the
You
charger.
stuck it in the cradle and that
and that was
was it.
it.
So, yeah. And I like the idea of the extra, them, taking their radios with them and then just having a cache of
And it also, because they are P25 compliant, what I mean by that is they accept all these different frequencies. Should we have a significant event occur in
Right.
Southampton, those radios that the police aren't using,
In-
that the officers actually,
interchangeable for
they're
other-
interchangeable. Say the FD, it was an event requiring more FD personnel, and they needed radios. They could
Right.
use our radios
Yeah.
and take it, with our frequency. So it's just, they need to be compatible.
And you're saying here they're only good for 10 to 20 years, and yet you're already pushing the 20-year envelope.
Right.
Like, you know. Okay. Any other questions on that?
No.
Now we're talking police vehicle.
Police car, yes. So let me inform you of kind of where our police fleet is at right now. So we have a total of 7, what we would consider cruisers. We have one other car that is a car that we obtained through a forfeiture based on a search warrant that we use as an undercover car. It does get used, so I'm not including that in our 7 cars. That would be our 8th registered car to the police department. I'm referring to what we use for patrol. So we have 7 cars. Of those 7 cars, we have my car, which is issued to me, which is a 2008 Chevy Tahoe that has 100,000 miles, over 100,000 miles on it. We have a 2011 Crown Vic that has well over 100,000 miles on it. I can't give you the actual amount because the dashboard has not lit up in a while.
Okay.
So we have another 2011 car with 147,000 miles on it. That particular car was going to get replaced by the
New
car
one from
that
last
we just got. However, prior to us getting our car that you folks supported, one of our officers got into a crash and he totaled the car. So I kept that car online because we needed to, and that car right now is in the process of being replaced through insurance. Through insurance.
Yeah.
We haven't got it yet. but
2011.
The 20.
Was that
The 2011, yes, with 147,000 miles on it. That was the car that was going to get
Got it.
removed from the fleet.
Yeah.
But it's still in right
It's
now
in the
because you
fleet
had to
because we
replace
lost
this.
that car in the crash, and we have not yet got it.
Yeah.
As soon as we get that car, this car goes offline, and we
Yeah.
no longer use it.
Yep.
Wait, I'm not following.
Oh.
The new car is replacing the one that we totaled, and we still need to replace that one.
So the new car that we just received through capital funding,
is replacing
Last
the
year.
total.
in July, we actually got it in July.
Is replacing the 140, the one that has 147
Was
miles.
That's what we were
was
going to do.
intended to replace the one with 147,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
But in June, prior to us getting that new car,
Yeah.
one of our cruisers, fortunately the 2016 Cruiser, which had 100,000 miles on it, if it was going to be a cruiser, that would be the one to do. That was in a crash,
Yeah.
and it was totaled.
And so the new one replaced that.
When we get that one, when we get that new car, we haven't got it yet.
Oh, you haven't gotten the new one
We
yet?
haven't got the new one yet. We're
Okay.
still settling with the insurance company,
All right.
which is closing.
Okay.
At that point, when we get that new car, then that 2011 with 147,000 miles on it will then be removed
be
out.
But
of
then
the
you'll
fleet.
be short a car.
So then we'll be short a car. So with that being said, when we have when we get the new car with the insurance company, with the insurance money, and we remove the
One
Crown
that you
Vic
wanted to-
that we
yeah.
wanted to remove in the first place,
Yeah.
we'll still have 3 cars with over 100,000 miles on them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying, what we do, and what I have done, and what other previous chiefs have done, is that as a new car comes in, we get rid of the one that's in the poorest condition. Might not be it could be the, it could
Like
be.
2011,
Yeah,
and
you
not
have
the
to remember
2008.
that
Yeah.
these cars, it's not only their mileage, it's their hours that they're running and
Yeah.
idling because they're doing radar in the heat. In the winter, they have to put the heat on. They have to put the AC on. So with that car replaced, we'll have 4 cars under 100,000 miles. One of which is already 4,000 miles short of 100,000. So we have our Crown, that'll make a fleet of 4, with the one that we just get, we'll make a fleet of 4 Ford Explorers, right? The newer cruisers. And one of them already has 96,000 miles on it. And so what I intend to do is, every time a car comes in, we get rid of one of the Crown Vics or
Yeah.
whatever car we need that's the most, causing us the most money, or is gonna cause, has the most mileage. Then what I would do is, I typically, and previous chiefs as well, and I agree with this, whatever car, say car 2 is a 96,000 miles, I'll take that car, strip it down of its markings, and use that as my administrative car, and then then the Tahoe will be removed. I don't need, as an administrative car, a brand-new car. And the reason is because I'm a secondary responder. It's different with the fire department. The fire chief was a primary responder. He needed a new car. I don't need necessarily a new car. I can use a car with older mileage. And I don't, I'm responding typically as a secondary officer. I am in the process of trying to acquire, a surplus vehicle, if that would be better than the Tahoe or the Ford Explorer surplus by other government entities within the state or federal government. That's a process and it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
The other part to this equation is that the discussion is happening here in January. If it moves forward, you don't get allocation until July. So another half a year goes by of mileage on these vehicles and wear and
Right, on
tear.
top of it.
And then when you get the funding in July, you don't actually see the vehicle until what, October?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If that-
So you're almost a year goes by of a delay
Yeah.
by the time
So
you replace these things.
my goal is to maintain a fleet of 7 cars, and with the higher mileage cars, not necessarily put them into patrol, but they're needed for emergencies, they're needed for details. As you can see, a lot of contractors are requiring police cars for details. We don't want to put the hours on low mileage cars, we rather put them on. That's what we're using with a lot of the Crown Vics right now. You'll see the Crown Vics out there.
Yeah.
That's the priority. That's where those cars go. And as well as cars break down, they're out of service.
So
I'm
this,
sure,
But there
Roger, you
should
can
be
attest to
that.
that as a mechanic, how often they go out of service.
so this dollar amount, does this include the complete camera package on the vehicles?
We transfer that we transfer that. So
Oh, you
this-
transfer it now?
A lot of them will be, let me just see what this one in particular,
I know we had an issue with that.
Well, the
Last
camera
year, the
systems
year
were so
before.
old a few years ago that we were encouraging that they bought a
Then we added everything in as a
Yeah,
complete ready-to-drive car.
This one includes, I have a radar unit, because our radar units are definitely antiquated. I did include that in here, but I did not include the camera, because the camera would be, well, the car that would be replacing has a camera, and the camera, I have not heard of any issues with the camera. Nothing's been
Well,
reported
that's the
to me.
reason I raised the question.
Yeah.
If you have equipment that works and you're comfortable with it, that's fine.
I haven't received any information from the officers driving these cars of any issues with the camera.
Okay, because a few years
So
ago.
that would just be a transfer.
Yeah, we had a headache a few years ago with that.
Yeah, there was 2 cars that the equipment was so old that Michael was like, and we were like, look, just put the money in
Yeah.
for the cameras.
Yeah, just add it all in.
Right. The cameras, I wouldn't, I think that's a $5,000 plus expense that I don't think is needed.
Okay.
I don't think.
That's
it is.
fine.
Yeah.
I'd rather ask now than have you
Yeah.
come back.
Right.
'Cause
The
that
only thing I do think is
comes
needed
back all
though is
time.
the radar units. Our radar units are obsolete. We've had them for many, many, many years.
And how much is?
The radar units to 2068. I don't know if I added that into the actual.
Didn't you get new ones within the last couple of years? 1 or 2?
We did, Roger, I'm not aware.
No,
I'm
the
not
only one we
familiar
got was the sign, the portable sign radar.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That wasn't the,
Okay.
that was in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Assessing speed.
Yeah, that was,
That was due to an accident or something.
no,
wasn't it?
that's Palmer Meadow Road. I'm talking, they got a portable sign, because when they put the portable sign on Valley Road, I caught the boarders racing their horses up the road to try to figure out how fast they were.
The police cruiser and the radar. So the cruiser.
So the radar wasn't in here?
The
Yeah.
radar is not in there. I don't think I added it.
It's on a separate page.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It is, there's a quote for it in there.
Yeah, so 2068
So
for
it'd be-
that and.
Oh,
44.
okay, and then add it. Okay, so it's,
So the radar unit's in the package.
it's in the quote.
It's
the
actually, the
quote.
quote
It's
is in the
quote.
package. You know what,
Yeah.
I don't know if I added it to the.
You did,
You did.
here,
Entire-
46.
Yeah, I
We
did,
got it.
okay, yeah, it's in there,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you put it on the description, so we're
Yeah,
good.
we're good.
And who's this through, MHQ?
MHQ, yes.
And so so you would take the oldest vehicle, is what you're saying?
I would take the oldest.
So then your vehicle is, would you get
What I
reimbursed
do
for
is,
that, or
so
what
we
does that
have
look like?
one of the, well, any old cars
Yeah.
we would auction.
Okay, yeah.
Or give to another department if it suited another department.
Yeah.
I think that would be a decision Ed would ultimately make. Just on a side note, one of the things I forgot to discuss with you are, seventh car, which we call car 7, that car right now has not been able to pass inspection, and it was on a detail during one of the storms, the last storm, and there was a small fire in the engine compartment, and it turned out that the fire was caused by friction with the valves. So we brought it to an auto mechanic, and they suggested that we not even attempt to fix it. Because it was an AC unit belt. It was a belt for an AC unit, and they essentially said the replacement of this unit would outweigh the value of the car. So that car,
Has no air conditioning.
short of it passing inspection as of the summer months with no AC, that car, we really can't use that car in the summer.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Any questions?
No, it's covered everything, really.
No, if you got everything, that's, if you need anything else, just, you know how to reach me.
Thank you, Chief.
And you don't mind
Thank
if we
you.
walk over and look at that?
I recommend you do.
Okay.
I recommend that you do. It's pretty neat, and we have enough modules on it to support other frequencies that the FD is requesting. We just got to come up with some of the funding to get it, because a quote for the 2 frequencies that the chief wants, which are needed, is about $12,500.
Okay.
So, we'll have to just come up with that. Once we come up with that, we're saving those spots so we can have, it's a WENLAC channel specifically for, it's a regional channel specifically for
yeah.
the fire department, as well as an EMS channel for the ambulance service.
Awesome.
So, but yes, I'd recommend, I'll let the dispatchers know should you want to do it tonight.
I will.
There's 2 consoles, and it took about 2 days to put in. Cool. And they look good. So far, so good.
Good.
All right.
Very good.
So,
Yeah, I understand it was a mess over there today. You could barely walk through that area as we were putting it together.
yeah, there was a lot more to it than I thought. I didn't think it was going to take 2 days, but it took them 2 days, 2 entire days.
I actually have to go back to work tonight, but can I stop by another day?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just ask dispatch?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let them know. So
Okay.
you're.
So like, who is this person? Great.
All right.
Thanks, Chief.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
Come on up.
All right, is this one the big one or the little one?
This is the little
Little
one.
one.
It's a little one with the big amount.
That's not a big.
These ladies keep on asking. I never.
This is Beth, one of my trustees. Happened to be in the library when Art calls.
Did you explain to her about your lineage with me?
I told Ed I have a history with you. But Charlie's
Came in last time with a bag full of shingles.
Beth, what's your last name?
Russell-Smith. Okay, wait a minute, I don't have both names.
Yeah.
Barbara Golden.
Goldin. Goldin.
Mine is Beth Russell-Smith. It's RUSSELL-SMI. It's a mouthful, but I wasn't in
Can't
it.
come fast enough.
Margaret, and your last name?
Larson.
Oh, yeah, you look.
Going flying to Florida. And then getting
Sharon
on
Hart.
Norwegian breakaway. Be gone for a week and a
We
half.
met. My husband's the fire chief.
Wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, sure, John.
Yes.
Okay.
She's looked up a lot of
And I
stuff,
bet
but
you
going to
could-
San
Yes,
Juan.
yeah. Here and then plus
U.S.
school.
Virgin Islands.
I mean,
British
school committee
Virgin
stuff,
Islands.
probably. You see me for that.
Okay.
Is Matt coming right back, or?
I don't know, he was
He's having
talking.
issues with his phone, and he's talking to somebody on his phone.
Yeah, he's got work stuff going on. So,
Right.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so we put in for an update to our security system. Right now, if somebody's in the meeting room when we're closed, like SYA often is, we can't set the alarm for the building because we only have one alarm.
System.
Yeah,
Oh.
so we met with Hackworth. Actually, we met with him on this a few years ago, and he recommended having a separate alarm for the meeting room from the rest of the building, so people can use the meeting room, but we
They go
can
out?
still go in and out, use
Yeah.
the meeting room, go.
Without
right-
access to the rest.
To the rest of the
Well,
building.
they don't have access to the rest of the
Right.
building, but right now, there's no security.
Yeah.
So what I do is I bring a sheet over to the police, because they pick up, just like the school, they pick up the key to the meeting room and return it. So I say there's no alarm on it, you know. So it's probably something we need to do to get the two systems. So they'd have different passwords, and people could use the meeting room, and we could set the alarm for the rest of the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I did our cheat sheet, I marked $7,000 to $8,000
Because we had 3 quotes, yeah.
because historically, every time I've dealt with the library, so
Ignore him, Barbara.
Charlie and I, yes.
things have worked out very
We
well for the
worked out
library.
very well, it's just that
But
we've
it-
had some glitches in the,
And-
well, the
and I'm
HVAC
trying
turned
to-
out to be 2 systems, we didn't know that, and we thought it was one system.
That's all right.
I
Then you
was
hit
there
the
for
post in the
that.
middle of the
Oh,
parking
yeah.
lot, took the light out. and it was
Yeah, you did
just
a big favor, it's
So
wonderful.
is this, so I just want to be clear, so this is adding just this,
The whole thing would have
so
to be
the whole thing is being
updated.
replaced, but it's going to have 2 zones,
Two zones,
essentially.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Do any of those call to the, what does that
Yes.
look like? Do they call to
Yeah,
the
the
police?
security system is, let me think, I usually get the calls from the police, yeah.
Okay, so
It
it will
goes
call the
up.
police, it's automatic.
So it has direct
Okay.
emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we've had some issues with outside problems, so we put in a camera. I talked to Hackworth, he said 2 cameras. People, well, I don't know if you know the history on this, but somebody painted the front lights black. And we thought it was something wrong with the lights, but the electrician said no, it was paint. And somebody also painted a long time ago the lights in the back black on the one side.
So you're gonna have a camera in the front and one in the back, just.
Well, that was only the one problem in the front, and we've tried to rectify it. We have different kinds of trees now growing. We've done, and I'm in communication with the neighbor who complains, and so, but also we had a cone over an area that was not safe, that it's now safe. The highway department's put a rock over these, they were live wires from a lamppost that
Was
needed
there?
to be taken
Yeah.
down.
That's the one Joe backed over.
Somebody
They
backed
capped that.
into it. They backed in, there were 2, I think. Anyway.
Great. We didn't take them out.
I fixed it. I had to re-weld one of them and shortened it 4 inches, re-welded it, and put it back up.
And then I had to talk to people about putting a floodlight on the building, and not putting them on the parking lot because they kept getting.
That was the one in the middle.
That was the one.
Middle. But then something happened to the other one. To be honest, I don't even remember anymore. There's so many
Well, then
things.
Randall hit the tree.
Well, that was a different thing, right.
I know
But
Joe took out one
You
of
know,
the
people
light
just
bulbs.
have their noses
Maybe actually, I think
in
Joe
books.
hit.
anyway, the one that I'm talking about is the one that was closest to the big hedge.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Randall has taken care of it. Now there's a nice big rock that nobody can move over that, and they've
To get
also,
to- yeah.
there's also, they've done some things to the wires. It's in a box. But before he got the rock, there was an orange and white cone.
Yeah.
So somebody would be moving the orange and white cone somewhere else. Every day I'd have to move it back. And so I suspect I know who it is, but I don't know for sure because I can't prove it. And then also, we have a picnic table on that side of the library, and somebody was moving that.
So the cameras,
Well, yeah, where are the cameras in here?
Yeah, the cameras are in here.
and they're gonna have, what, 24-hour recording with
Yeah.
like a 2-week,
It would go into a computer in the library.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You wouldn't have to
That's
look
what
at it.
my next question.
Yes, not
Yeah.
one of the...
We're not going to be on NCIS.
No, nobody's calling me in the middle of the night. No,
Okay.
they recommended it's on a station and, connected to one of the computers, staff computers. If we need to look at it, we can, but we don't have to.
but I think it also helps with us for security for the park.
Ah,
Because the cameras being out there, I don't know what their field of vision's gonna be.
Oh, you might
But-
want more cameras then.
No, I'm
No?
just thinking about the fact that it should be able to capture anybody that goes down the driveway.
Depends on where it's located.
So if there's any damage or anything anywhere, they have
There's a
that.
reference.
Yeah.
Well, so we were concentrating on that corner by the hedges. So there was going to be one on the side of the library and one on the front, but over toward that. But we can change it, but that's where they
Think about the
recommend
driveway, because you want to capture the
the
vehicle.
driveway.
Anyways,
The person
That
I'm
said-
talking about would be walking.
Comes through the
over.
bushes.
So
But-
there's a monthly fee associated, right, with the security system?
Oh,
for the
yeah,
alarm?
we're paying, right, we are paying for the current, it's about 118
Is that-
quarterly.
Is that going to change?
That might change, I'd have to ask.
Yeah, maybe not though, because we
Yeah.
Might
use
not.
them and it's $54 a month, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might not
Or a
because,
quarter,
yeah,
whatever it
I
is.
didn't even think to ask him about that.
I suspect it won't be much in your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have
I
it in
think you
your,
can handle
It's
that
in
in your budget.
maintenance,
I think
yeah,
you can
in
handle that in your
maintenance,
budget.
in
yeah.
your budget already? Yeah.
Right. So he said it would be something like 2,000 for the cameras, and then the updates should come under 7,000 hopefully, but
So together it's 9?
7, I think we asked.
No, so it's
Well, there were
7.
three
so it's 2
estimates,
and
7, 8,
2
and
and
9. Keep going.
Yeah.
Where?
On your estimate pages.
She's got 3 estimates for the complete project,
Yeah.
7, 9,
For
and 8.
everything,
Yeah.
okay.
And,
That's all I
and,
was
and,
making sure.
and the
Oh,
reason
no, but
I'm-
these are,
I'm sorry?
actually, no, the second one is for a different year.
That's the water heater.
The water heater, and the third one's for the painting. We only talked to Hackworth. But we would have, if it's over 5,000, we have to get 3 estimate, is that right?
Right, but at this point in time, I'm not overly worried about it. My concern is the fact that you have an estimate here of 7,000 that appears to be just a verbal estimate with no
Yes,
quote.
he said he was going to send us something, but he
And so
never
there's no
did.
quote. And
Right.
historically, we're friends. But historically, what
Yes.
happens is this would come in front of this committee,
Yeah,
and then we would find out after we were allocating money at town meeting
yeah.
that we were short $2,000 here or $1,000
Right.
there and that. So what I'm going to suggest to the committee, which is not a norm, is that we figure on $8,000 even though it says 7. So there's a little buffer there.
Especially if we need a third camera.
Do you
for
want
that.
me to get Hackworth to send me the quote?
Yes.
Yes.
And if you could email it to me, then
It's
I
not
can
that
share
we
it with
haven't
everybody.
asked. I mean,
Well, I understand
Yeah,
that,
Are you
but
telling me that you have to have it in order to
have them, so if they're
take the
asking
next
for
step?
7 and we allocate 8, can they put in a third camera?
Piece of paper.
yes.
I'll
So
call
I would
them.
suggest a third.
Well, then it should be a little more than, where
So
you want
So
ask
that's
for a
why-
quote.
way, yeah.
And-
Ask for a quote for both, for 2 and
3.
3.
Three.
Would be.
okay.
And
And the 2 systems.
And just remember, if we make this recommendation, it still goes to the Board of Selectmen. This Board of Selectmen decide what the article's going to read, and they at their own discretion can change that number,
Yeah.
And
okay?
should we say, I mean, to have, because you pointed out, it's a security benefit for the park as well.
Also.
Shouldn't that be included in the statement about why?
If you write it up, yes.
Okay.
We're trying to throw things out here to make this work. You know, I think having a camera that faces the parking,
Yeah,
the driveway of the
Yeah,
park
It's a good
is a
idea.
benefit for both the library and the park.
Yeah.
Because what was it? 2 years ago, they took all the picnic tables from inside and stacked them all up and used the picnic tables as a snowboard ramp down the
Well,
hill.
It's actually quite clever, but
I didn't know about that.
there's a lot of things that
We
happen.
didn't get
in town that- you know,
Oh,
you spend too much time in the library.
I know about things being moved on the outside of the library.
But all kidding
And Mark
aside,
painting.
all kidding
I would do
aside,
a third one.
I think this is necessary personally, but I do think putting a camera that's on the library towards the driveway of the park is gonna cover you, and it's gonna cover the park.
Yeah,
It's
it
gonna be a
shows who's
dual-purpose
driving, yeah,
situation.
that makes
And for what the
sense.
cost of the camera is, you already have all the rest of the equipment there.
Yeah.
Right, it'll be all
And
the
the
rest of
person's
the
coming out to do the labor anyway at once, so.
Why not have it
you
done?
So
can-
whoever's with the park would have to contact us to look at the film.
No, the police would.
The
Oh, the
police.
police would? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If something happened at the park, the police are gonna
Police.
investigate.
They're
They're
gonna-
gonna see the cameras.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're gonna come to the library,
Okay,
not you.
we don't have to
No.
worry about it.
No.
Sounds good.
Hopefully they never show up and you know.
Yeah, hopefully nobody moves anything from the outside
Yeah,
of the
Roger,
library.
nobody moves in.
No, I didn't say hit anything,
Roger.
I said this person is...
Roger's
And the
got a hell of a
picnic
history,
table.
Matt, you have no idea.
Where's the white lightning when you need it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we have to get 3 estimates, or
Oh, no, one,
No,
right?
just do
Get
the
the
one?
quote, get the
Get the
Get the one.
formal and get it with
Yeah.
2 and 3, and, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're
This is
welcome.
the beginning of the process,
coming.
remember that.
I know, I know.
Life is a process, you know, it just goes on and on.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
I have a question for Ed.
For Ed,
Yeah.
everyone's got questions.
Ed had his time, it's all done.
Do you, once you put surveillance cameras in, do you have to notify the public that there are, with surveillance, with cameras on the outside of a public building, do you have to
Go
announce?
after you.
You don't have to put a sign up that,
Not in a public area, I don't
Private, I
think.
believe you do.
Yeah.
Because at the school, we have them all over and there are no signs.
there's no signage?
Nope. I'm cold, sorry.
Well, those are the interviews for tonight.
Plus we got town
Plus we got the
hall,
building.
or building done.
Yeah.
all done, yeah?
So that's good.
So that said, our next meeting is the 30th,
Yep, so we got EMD,
and Highway,
Norris.
and you'll remind the North School, and I'll remind Highway,
Yeah, I can do that.
and I know where the EMD is, so that's easy.
Right. So just a quick note up regarding the capital funding for regional. Westhampton has said that they don't want it as a separate capital item because they only fund one capital expense a year. And they'd switch off between departments. And this year, it's public safety. So they want it all in the budget. We haven't heard from any other towns about how they want it, but I know that, so just FYI.
Okay.
It may not be separate, it may be separate. I think people are leaning toward it being separate, but Westhampton's not happy.
Well, if we were to take our capital budget and just use it on the regional school, nothing that you just saw today would get funded.
I know, this I know,
I mean,
right, right.
so, okay, well, we'll just
Yeah.
watch how this
Yeah,
plays
they're
out.
gonna-
I mean,
they're gonna have
this
to
is the
figure it out,
This
I
is the
think.
beginning of it.
Yep.
Matt, you asked about the bike path, the Greenway.
Did I ask about that?
That was at one of the last meetings, I think.
No. Yeah.
And
What did
so-
I ask about?
we were asking about how this is going to get funded.
Okay.
And so I pulled up today the Pioneer Valley Regional Transportation Improvement Program. This is where federal money is allocated to this region, and there's a committee that takes and decides what the priorities are. In that funding, they set it out for a 5-year plan. In the year 2023 is the actual construction of the Greenway in Southampton. And the allocation is $6.8 million. But that's for 2023.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't,
Federal money?
it's 80% federal and the rest of it's state. And basically the way that works is towns and cities use that money for highway improvements. We did that for the Safe Routes to School. We did that for Glendale Road. You're going to see that activity on East Street eventually because there'll be design construction that'll go forward. Once that design gets up to 75%, then that starts to go on to that plan as to when that's going to be funded. So it's a process. But when I was on that committee, they moved to put that money there for 2023.
Okay.
Now, the next step is to see if the legislators pass a bill that allows us to use community preservation money to purchase.
Yeah.
There's a number of towns that are looking for that to pass. I think it's going to pass.
Yeah, I think it's going to pass, too.
So that'll be the next step. Then the step coming between this and that is going to be the design engineering cost. I don't know where that is at that point. That's probably going to be something that we'll have to talk to legislators about, bonds or something.
Could be. I mean,
But it's-
we would both pass. I suggested to Paul with that of capital and also send it along to CPC.
Yeah. So you asked, I just wanted to show you that there is actual money being allocated there in 2023 for construction.
Okay.
And that gives you a list of everything in the Pioneer Valley and the schedules and such like that, just to add something.
Yeah, that's great.
Seems different.
I had some questions. Did we ever find out if the debt was retiring for, so we had here under fiscal year 21, we'll be retiring the Hampshire Regional debt, current year expense.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Well, I understand what you're asking. I don't have an answer. I thought when we did the overrides last year, that was because those debts were going to retire.
Because of those, yeah,
But the way I'm reading this, it sounds like they're retiring this coming year.
That's the way I read that too. But we should get clarification. Ed, do
I
you
don't know.
I would have to go double check. I can't remember if it was 21 or for some reason it was
We're in
25.
right now, aren't we? Are we in FY20?
We're in FY20.
20 right now.
I
Yeah.
thought it was in FY20 that it was retiring. That's why, one of the reasons we pushed the debt exclusion votes.
To take that up,
Right.
yeah,
Now I'm looking at it and it's saying
21. And that,
And I'm wondering if that's the same, or is there some other money that got retired that I'm confusing it with?
me too.
I don't know anything about
And
25.
we're not clear on how much money we have, do we? In each of the 3 buckets?
My understanding, this is my understanding,
Well,
and
Vicki sent you that number, didn't she?
she did.
Yeah, but it doesn't add up,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it doesn't add up because of the fact that
Didn't
what
add
she
at all.
sent us, she didn't include what was left over in free cash. There was about $90,000 left over in free cash that the select board.
Yeah, but those numbers don't add to the sum total either.
No,
So
because
they
she didn't add the net.
What do you mean?
It's 35, 25, and whatever. It doesn't add up to 100%. So it's purposely done so you don't allocate all the free cash through those 3 things.
So what do you do with the rest?
It sits in free cash.
We just put, let's say, less 6,200. We just put 73,000 of the 90 on the special town meeting warrant.
Well, it sits in free cash. But,
Right.
Like, I mean, the money has to be accounted for 100% of it. So if you only account for 80%.
But it sits in free cash.
It remains in free
Unless you
cash. It
appropriate it.
remains,
And
right.
if you don't appropriate it, on June 30th of the end of the fiscal year, it disappears until free cash is certified again.
Again, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, when I did this is me, okay, not Vicki. I went and figured there was like $90,000 sitting in their free cash account, which you guys are drawing off of.
Okay.
So,
Is that correct?
I don't know, I would just like to have.
Is
all
that
the
correct?
information.
I
I don't know,
haven't.
I don't have the information.
Yeah.
on that. So I don't know.
I'm lost.
well,
I-
I mean, I looked at what went to capital, what's going to operation, what's going to APIC, and that other number is what's left.
Correct. The other number was 90 and some change.
Yeah,
But then there was 90 and change to begin with in there, so it's 180. Is that what you're saying?
no, there was nothing left over because last year, whatever was in free cash went to zero and then got recertified as free cash again
Correct.
because the books got closed.
Okay.
Yeah, free cash disappears every June 30th.
The money doesn't actually go away, you just have to wait for a research.
It just needs to it's still there, it
Yeah.
just has to get,
You can't, yeah, I mean, but
you
until it
can't
gets
use it
researched.
until you get recertified, but
Well,
it
you
doesn't
could-
go away, right?
Yeah, in other words, on July 10th, you couldn't say, oh, we need a special town meeting to allocate or appropriate $100,000 for free cash. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the total now is 90, so, come July 1st, was it 40? I guess I'm a little
No,
confused with
there's
that.
90 now. They're going to a special town meeting, and they're pulling money out of that free cash
Right.
for that.
73,000.
Yeah, something like that. So it's going to leave somewhere around, we'll say 20 grand, just to use a round number. That's all that's going to be left there.
In the free cash account, but the other accounts have, what do they have in them?
Well, the other account, the capital will have about 154,000.
The capital, and then what about the operational?
Operational stabilization will have 403,000. 403,765.42 cents, if you really want to know exactly.
Okay, and then what about the other one, OPEB?
OPEB will have about 251,825.86 cents, but OPEB's committed to retirement pension.
Okay.
You
You can't-
do anything.
And then, why is the capital number on that sheet 126, and over here you got it at 154?
The capital
That's his
sheet
cut.
is
What's his
120.
cut?
That's sharing.
Missed that. My understanding is there's $27,800 left in the capital budget
So you
from
added,
allocations that were not funded last year.
okay,
Yeah.
So that rolls it into that 126.
got it.
Okay, it should be.
I know, those, for whatever reason, it didn't add, but I guess it's the free cash thing that I was...
She never put the free cash number
Okay,
there.
got it.
Right.
That's what
right.
threw
I
everybody
think
off.
that's,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, or if you get someone that was, say, allocated $35,000 for a project, and they spent
Yeah.
32,000 of it,
Yeah.
and they say, we're done, we're turning back 3, that goes back into that.
And that's
The
why
capital
that
fund.
was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like the mower,
Matt, all we're
packet,
doing
For
right?
60,000,
Yeah.
okay, correct.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
okay.
There you go, Charlie.
right,
Just wondering what
yeah.
the hell that thing was.
that's where when the meeting drags on. Another thing was the town clerk sent a notice about people taking and doing the conflict of interest training and open meeting training. My reading of this, a few of you need to,
I do.
yes.
Do I? I thought I sent mine in.
I have here, you're all set with conflict of interest, but they have nothing for you for open meeting certification, which means walking in and signing a piece of paper.
Paper, right,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Do I have it? I don't shouldn't have it. I think I have a copy.
Matt Rowland. Matt Rowland is, all it says is select board. It must make you exempt from everything.
Well, no, the conflict of interest is 2 years, and he should have done
I did one for
that.
Shelley.
Yeah,
That's all I've done.
2018.
I don't think I have any other time. Do I?
Yeah, I think
Well,
I'll overdue.
yeah, but if you
Do it online.
did it right after you got elected, it's good for 2 years, so you should be good.
Yeah, and I did.
Yeah.
So,
So I just have to come in and sign.
you gotta go and sign a piece of paper for, you gotta do the,
I know.
you gotta go online.
I gotta do it twice then.
Yep. So my question to the board, or committee, or group, or whatever we'll call it, is, our next meeting is the 30th. After that, we have nothing posted. We're not in any urgency to try to get this thing resolved, because the May town meeting is May.
What resolved the capital decisions?
Yeah. So my question is, when would you like to post the next meeting?
After the 30th?
After the 30th?
Yeah. Well, it has to be after the 30th, because
Right.
I wouldn't mind like I mean, is there any problem with I mean, I don't, just speaking selfishly here, like we're gonna end up in budget season and like,
It's
You're
just
gonna be
like-
this
busy.
is like the last thing I wanna deal with. Like,
Yeah,
If we can,
yeah.
if there's any
So
way
I-
we can get this.
So I have a question, one more thing. Back to, how much are we gonna have after taking so there's 90,000 in free cash.
No,
You're taking
that's when I did
73 out.
out, right, okay.
Right, so
you
that's
got
what
it.
I'm saying.
Okay.
73 out, so, wow.
Yeah,
So
and if you look at my notes,
we're short 40 if we funded
if
everybody.
we funded everything except
Hampshire Regional.
and the police cruiser and the dump trucks. Because I was thinking the police cruiser is probably going to go to short-term borrowing. But
Yeah.
we haven't talked about it, but I think that's where it's going.
Because that's what we've done before.
Right. And as for the highway
Dump
trucks,
truck will go to
debt
debt
exclusion.
exclusion.
Yeah.
So if we did that, then we're still short 40 grand for all
Not
of
factoring in what, though? Not factoring in Hampshire Regional.
That's right. Hampshire
Is that
Regional.
it?
What-
We're short, we can do everything else, but we're short 40 grand.
Right, well,
Well,
we
we
don't
can't do
have.
everything.
And we don't have
Because
the,
we're short
range-
40 grand.
Because we're
So we
short
just have
40.
to find 40 grand.
and we don't have the range hood calculation either, so if you figure that's 10 grand, we're probably short about 50,000.
Okay.
50 minus 17, if we took the rest from free cash.
Yeah, but do we want to touch free cash? That's the selectmen's call, not us.
Yeah.
I think we just need to, I think we can find 50 grand. Don't you think? No?
Well, we're gonna have to cut.
Charlie
We're gonna
could
have,
put it in.
we'll have to
Yeah,
cut some.
Charlie's got a lot of
He's,
money.
right?
Yeah.
We can just cut some of this out of here. The sad part is that 50 grand, when you look at stuff, there's these things like 7 grand here, 5 grand here, 10 grand here,
I know, it's like,
and, you know, it's like you're taking a department and giving it, the whole department a whack for one thing, two things, you know?
What are the rules about taking money from operating stabilization?
Authorization, stabilization money can be taken by a 2/3 vote, but it's the select board that decide if they're gonna move that forward, and that's gonna be the financial team that's gonna have to decide if that's a priority enough to do it.
but can we recommend?
Yeah, well, we can recommend anything. Doesn't
Well,
mean it will happen.
basically, I'll tell you what I feel your job is. Take all those, put them in your priority list. It's basically the select board and the financial team that says how far down the list you're going to go or how much you're going to put at this.
Okay,
And what falls off or what goes in.
yeah, okay.
So basically,
I mean,
Okay, that's why we
it
need to
gets a
make
little more
that-
complicated than that, because if you look at it and go, well, geez, $250,000 dump truck, that takes the whole thing, but yes, that's...
Yeah, but that's
Right,
not
right.
going to be, that'll be a debt exclusion.
That is
Well,
right.
I'll say it's going to be a borrowing. I won't say it's going to be a debt exclusion, because I probably won't recommend a debt exclusion on the truck this year, because I don't think another debt exclusion is going to pass.
Okay.
So, and the only difference means that you still borrow for it, but whatever the cost of that borrowing is, you're paying for out of your two, within your 2.5 instead of outside of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see, that makes sense,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So we'll
I'm
be
trying to
pri-
understand the difference, but now I get it in my
That's,
head.
that's the type, and, but you do it within 2.5 if you just do regular borrowing. It's outside if you do the debt exclusion, plus it takes the paper ballot vote.
Yep,
If you do it within, and for regular borrowing, you don't have to do the election ballot.
Okay.
But sometimes you can't keep the payments within,
Yep.
staying within
No,
2.5, so that's when you do a debt
large chunk
exclusion.
of
Go
money. I
ahead,
feel like,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but you really don't think that would pass?
I think we're getting close to that point.
Tipping.
You gotta be careful, you just can't put everything on, oh, we're gonna borrow it, if we're gonna borrow it, it's a debt exclusion. Because at some point, the taxpayers and voters are gonna say, no, you've gotta stay within your budget. So you gotta pick and choose at some point. So we'll see what we hear for feedback and go from there.
When would you like to meet? We're talking February?
But if we do the next meeting and we have, how many do we have at our next meeting? Is that going to be a long meeting?
shouldn't be.
It should be about what we
So
do.
do you want it after that last meeting, discuss that?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't.
I was just thinking,
Because look what time it is now, it's almost 7 o'clock. I'd much rather take and circle back at 5 in the afternoon or 5:30 and,
What do you have left next week, like 2? Because I know Art showed up for building
yeah,
tonight.
that's it. We got
Highway.
I was gonna say highway and
we've got
what else?
highway,
the
Norris.
EMD takes a long time.
Oh, he's-
He's
yeah.
winded.
Yeah.
Yeah, EMD.
so we got the school and the highway
School.
department, and those two are gonna take some
Yeah,
time.
absolutely.
You know, the EMD is just a token.
Yeah. Oh, highway,
Yeah.
highway, school.
And then Greenway and Public Safety
I
are,
don't know about the Greenway, but I know public safety's not coming in. Public safety just wanted to put this on the list.
Yeah.
all right.
So that's why I was saying, if we only have a couple, do you want to just stay
But the North
and talk
School,
about?
That'll take a little while.
you know,
We
But-
have to have them prioritize these things too, because I'm not sure they are in there.
no, they just dropped in.
Yeah, that should be one thing that they
Yeah.
should do. Oh, and just, yeah,
Oh,
well,
when I-
as
when I
long as you
s-
brought
when I
that
send you
up,
them
there's,
to,
I
you
will
know, a
ask
couple
them.
things at some point I'd like to talk to you about the forms and the process.
Yeah,
You know,
needs to be updated, I
Yeah,
think.
but, and I think one of those pieces is, okay, little box or whatever, your priorities, so you can see what 1, 2, 3, and 4 are, or whatever. So you can see what, you know, how they're thinking and if it's different from you or not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be around from the 8th to the 17th,
Vacation.
the 18th, actually.
How about the 20th?
That's fine, I'm open there.
That's fine.
That'll give you and me time to talk.
Yeah, sure.
20th?
At 5?
Is 5:30 easier for everybody?
Yeah.
We do 5:30?
All right, 5:30 then. I didn't know how long this was going to take tonight. That was the reason why I was picking 5 o'clock. But
All right. Are we good? I gotta head back into
Yep.
work.
do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So much.
Okay,
Second.
remember, I gotta write this. Okay, meeting adjourned at what time? 6.
6:38.
All in
Who
favor?
made the
I
motion?
seconded it.
Matt?
Yeah, I made the motion.
What do you do, Margaret? What do you do?
We own a woodworking school in Easthampton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Now, how'd you get into that?
I would love to know the answer to that. Yeah, I
A
would.
mistake somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere
Cassie took the wrong turn,
along the
yeah?
line.
I'm
Yeah.
shutting the recorder off. We're all done.
Yeah, no, my husband worked with, we lived in California, and he was a lifelong hobbyist woodworker, and then we found this school, you know, well, he came out, went to it for a year, went back to California, he was working for Apple, and then he just said, I can't do this anymore.
You walking
And
over or you driving
He
over?
was traveling all the
Driving
time,
over. But I can't get the thing to
and I was
shut off.
traveling for my job, and we cut all our ties and moved back